In Sanskrit, the breath is called Shwasa. The act of breathing, inhalation and exhalation, is recognized in the tantric texts but never treated as an isolated process. It is always linked with prana, the life force that sustains the body. This relationship is clearly described in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, chapter 2, verse 4. When the nadis are full of impurities, the prana, here called Maruta, does not enter the central channel Sushumna. Then how can the state of Unmani, mind beyond thought, arise? How can yogic accomplishment happen? This verse shows that prana moves through breath, but its deeper control depends on purified inner pathways. Even if breathing continues, prana cannot move where it needs to, into Sushumna, until the system is cleansed. Then it says, when all the nadis and chakras, which are full of impurities, becomes purified, then the yogi becomes able to control prana. So breath is not an independent function. It is the outer expression of prana. And that prana can only be restrained or directed when the internal system is ready. That's why the study of breath in ancient India begins not with the breath alone, but with purification and then prana. In this video, we explore the ancient science of breath, not as air, but as the force that sustains, transforms, and dissolves the body we call our own. Prana is the vital energy that controls all bodily functions: breathing, digestion, circulation, speech, and even thought. The Prashna Upanishad presents a conversation between the senses and the prana. Each organ claims to be the most important, but when prana begins to leave the body, they all lose their power. Then they accept that the prana is the chief. Realizing this, the senses acknowledge that prana is the one holding everything together, not just in the body, but in all functions. The Upanishads concludes this section by stating in all this is under the control of prana, as also whatever is established in the higher world. Protect us like a mother protect her children. Grant us wealth and wisdom. This verse shows the supremacy of prana that governs all movement in the body and even in higher realms. In yogic science, prana is not just the energy. It is the manifest form of Shakti, the force that animates the entire cosmos. It is said that whatever is visible is the gross form, Sthula Rupa, of this cosmic prana. The ancient yogis saw prana as the bridge between the body and consciousness, and they used it as a means to maintain health, extend vitality, and ultimately reach liberation. But prana cannot be directly grasped. It is subtle, formless, and moves beyond our conscious control. So the ancient yogis focused on what they could control: the breath. Breath, the tool to access prana. Breath is the only bodily function that works automatically, and yet we can consciously control it. This makes it a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. The ancient sages realized that once the nadis are purified through specific practices, then by simply observing and guiding the breath, they could access prana. Once the inner pathways are purified, the prana flows without obstruction, and with that flow, clarity arises. Only then does the mind naturally begin to settle into stillness. The purpose was to use breath to enter a state of silence, where thoughts are still, and in that stillness, they could perceive the self. As the Hatha Yoga Pradipika says, when the prana moves, the mind moves. When it is still, the mind is still. By the steadiness of prana, the Hatha Yogi reaches stability. Therefore, breath must be restrained. But the sages did not stop at the observation. They realized that when prana is consciously directed, it becomes a path to higher awareness. As taught in Yoga Kundalini Upanishad, when the subtle Sushumna Nadi is cleared and the downward moving Apana is drawn upward, this is called Mula Bandha. When Apana reaches the region of Agni, inner fire, the flame of Agni grows longer as it is blown by Vayu. Then in the heated state, Agni and Apana mix with Prana. This creates a powerful inner fire that awakens the sleeping Kundalini. Kundalini, making a hissing sound, becomes erect like a snake struck with a stick and enters a Brahmanari or Sushumna. Even at the moment of death, the wisdom is active. The Prashna Upanishad says, whatever thought is held at death draws prana in that direction. The Udanavayu, supported by Atman, carries the soul to the world it is mentally aligned with. And the tool to move prana where we truly want it to go, towards liberation, is breath. Breath was seen as a manifestation of the universal force in the body, so controlling it meant aligning with the cosmic rhythm. By observing breath, controlling it, and going beyond it, sages reached a point where prana dissolved back into its source, the self. The final goal is not to breathe better, but to realize, I'm not the breath, I'm not the prana, I'm the one who observes both.